Okay, our goal is to make a function that has the domain listed here. We see that we are excluding x equals 5 and x equals 9. So another way of writing this is say x cannot be 5 and it cannot be 9. And we also need x to be greater than or equal to 3. And we need to create a function that will have these requirements, these restrictions. So to exclude a single number, we need to remember back to the operations that are going to cause us to exclude any type of number. And one of them is that we cannot divide by 0 in the real numbers. So what we want to do is construct our function in such a way that 5 and 9 would make us divide by 0. So this is going to be a function that is in a fraction. And if I include x minus 5 in the denominator, now plugging in 5 would cause me to divide by 0. And if I do x minus 9, now plugging in 9 would cause me to divide by 0. So now I've excluded 5 and 9 from my domain of this function. Now the operation that's going to cut out everything smaller than 3 is I know that if I try to do square root x, I can't plug in any negative under a square root sign, right? So currently this would have this piece alone would have a domain from 0 to infinity. So if we make this square root x minus 3, now if we try to plug in 4, we would get square root of 4 minus 3, which is square root 1, and that is a-okay. But if we try to plug in 2, we get square root, let's go right again. Okay, we get square root 2 minus 3, which is square root negative 1, and that is not okay. And if we try to plug in anything smaller than 3, we're going to just get more and more square root of a negative, which is not okay in the real numbers. So now we have our function that has the domain that is listed.